came up with, which led to a 5-year hiatus in acting.
God, that's the most Disney shit ever.
Maybe it was-
Disney is the most joyless company on earth. Disney's like the Nestle of entertainment. That is genuinely like the most Disney response. Such a
It's far too common that child stars struggle adapting to a more normal life after television fame, mostly because of the pressure enforced on them at such a young age, plus all their flaws, successes, and failures are publicized to millions of people.
Man, the Amanda Bynes one was the wildest one to me because I remember when I was a kid in the movie She's the Man came out, I think it was. And she did an interview, and she was asked the question, how did you avoid the pitfalls that other child actors fall into with, like, drugs and all of that? She's like, I just always thought I didn't need them. I was always just never interested. And I swear to God, not even like 5 months after that interview is when she shaved her head and like went on a police chase or whatever happened. And then from there, it just got real ugly real quick. Things just got too crazy. And I just felt like, damn, she lied to me.
We know that Disney actors are often overworked, develop emotional trauma, and have a hard time getting away from the label of child star. Even at a young age, the twins realized this and started their master plan to capitalize on the rewards of being a Disney star, only to escape and leave their past behind them forever.
Yeah,
Make
from
sure
what
you're
I
hydrated
understand,
while
they've done
watching this
well.
video.
Like,
Dylan and Cole
never
Sprouse
had
are
a
the
problem.
30-year-old twins, mostly known for their 2 major hit Disney TV shows, The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, and the sequel, Sweet Life on Deck. But before they did that,
Never
they had
watched the
some other
sequel.
pretty major accomplishments. They starred as Julian in Big Daddy. They played Ross's son on Friends, voice acting in 8 Crazy
Thanks for
Nights,
some boot.
as well as a ton of different TV roles and direct-to-video films. Not only were the 2 adorable and talented actors, but being identical twins gave them an advantage. It allowed Hollywood producers to cast them as the same person. Child labor laws prevent actors under 18 from being overworked. When Cole was done shooting a scene, Dylan would step in to do the other,
Oh,
and
that's
they would trade
fucked
off.
up.
And
What?
producers were able to get double the work out of essentially
Wait, what a
one
loophole.
kid. 2005, The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody. Danny Callis, who ended up writing the show, always dreamed of doing his version of Eloise at the Plaza, which was a family film about a
Thanks,
sweet but
Yoshi.
mischievous 6-year-old who lives in the Plaza Hotel in New York City. He actually wrote the idea of the show 2 times and tried to sell it to different networks. When he approached the Disney Channel, they actually said to him, "Here's 2 twins. What can you build around them?" He wrote the idea for The Sweet Life for the 3rd time, and it got picked up. The Sweet Life of Zack and
Nice.
Cody was about 2 twin boys who live at the 5-star Tipton Hotel because their mother was an employed singer who performed in the lounge multiple times per week. The boys had amazing chemistry together because they were 1, actually brothers, and 2, had been working since before they had conscious thoughts. The show also followed the hotel owner's daughter, London Tipton, played by Brenda Song,
She's
who was
in a
a
new
parody
show, right?
character of Paris Hilton. She was scatterbrained, rich, and solely focused on boys and fashion, as well as the candy counter employee who was hardworking and intelligent. One thing I gotta give the show mild props for is that they reversed the nerdy, smart Asian and dumb blonde stereotypes. Mr. Mosby was the nervous hotel
Hey,
manager who would
Mr.
often try to ruin
Mosby.
Zack and Cody's fun. He was like a father figure to them as well. When The Sweet Life aired in 2005, it was the most successful premiere in Disney Channel history.
You have girlfriends?
God, with Ellen.
No, we are single men.
Disney knew they needed to keep them around longer, so they came up with a sequel in 2008.
God,
The Sweet
I
Life
will
on
always
Deck.
hate,
Before
like,
they
the
started the
cheering
new
and
show, they
shit
had a
in a
gap
live
year. So
audience
Dylan and Cole
like that.
actually got
That's
jobs
so
at a comic
grating.
book store called Meltdown in LA. Most of what they did was packaging, putting the comic books in the little sleeves. But their father always taught them that they can't get wrapped up in celebrity status. The 16-year-olds were kids just like everybody else, and that they needed some balance in their life. The boys picked up hobbies. Cole started his journey into photography, and Dylan got into drinking alcohol, which would be his next passion. The filming was about to start again, and it was time for them to quit the comic book store. The Sweet Life on Deck airs in 2008 to over 5 million viewers. Now they were on the SS Tipton, which was a cruise ship that they lived on, which created tons of new opportunity for them to get in trouble. None of the characters developed much over time. Cody stayed the soft,
Yeah, I never
innocent
watched it.
dork, and Zack stayed the selfish jock. But we were growing up with them. We even watched Cody have to deal with his voice cracking, and the boys looking for their first armpit hairs. They were like the little brothers we always wanted. The 2 shows ran from 2005 to 2011, 168 episodes plus a movie. This was technically the
There's a
longest
recent
running live-action
Ramiro
show if you
and
combine
the
them.
Prime
Fans
Zam.
loved the sequel. Some people even thought it was better than the original. I personally think the original was better, but we can fight it out in the comments. They came up with an idea where they graduate high school, move off the ship, and go back to Boston. In their downtime at college, they would meet a single dad with a child at the hotel. Zack and Cody would kind of raise the boy up like a little brother, showing him all the crazy stuff in the hotel, leading him into wacky situations.
Aww.
The final season could have been the perfect way to transition into a whole new show based around the young boy. Cole said that the goal of this was to transition them out of the show. That way the cast and crew didn't have to lose their jobs that they had for the past 6 years.
That's so
Disney
nice.
executives
What?
laughed in their faces for the idea they came up with, which led to a 5-year hiatus in acting.
God, that's the most Disney shit ever.
Here you will see-
Disney is the most joyless company on earth. Disney's like the Nestle of entertainment. That is genuinely like the most Disney response. Such a wholesome conclusion from the people who made the show popular. They just get laughed at for wanting it to be a wholesome ending.
See a photo of Dylan Sprouse working as a host in a New York City restaurant just 2 years after the Disney Channel, which led to multiple assumptions that he was broke.
But when you see a picture of a guy who has made, presumably, and I'm making a presumption here, a lot of money off of a television series and that he's working in a restaurant, wouldn't that be a reasonable conclusion?
I mean, I definitely think that that's in mind. Although it is negative, it's just a negative way to think for the most part. People can work jobs like that for experience.
I think that's a super cool thing to do.
Kind of the way I
position like
targeted
his.
it.
If I didn't know anything about the Sprouse twins, I would have assumed the same thing. But what you will notice in the rest of this video is that the boys, mostly Dylan, have done a lot to escape their previous lives. They both got accepted to New York University and decided to dorm with everyone else and go to college full time. Dylan was majoring in video game design and was something of a video game addict.
What?
Cole was an archaeology student, majoring in geographical information
Does he do anything with games
He traveled
now?
all over the world through their program and even made a big discovery. Cole unearthed a mask of Dionysius in Bulgaria. They both were quite literally just normal college kids from 2011 to 2014, focused on their and working side jobs in their free time. This type of normality most definitely prevented them from ending up like countless other child celebrities. Child stars face a lot of pressure to immediately get an adult acting role or start a music career. Whatever it is, if they don't outdo Disney or Nickelodeon, it seems like a step down, because they have millions of fans that want them to still be their 13-year-old selves. But when you get into your 20s,
He did Smash
you just wanna
commentating
move
for a
on.
bit.
The
That's
pressure
so
ends up
fucking cool.
eating them alive, and
Melee,
they
I
make
bet.
mistakes. Then it's highly publicized, which compounds the initial problem. So instead of going down the dark Hollywood path, the twins did the exact opposite. Let's fully step away from this. We can't be compared to our old roles if we aren't doing anything at all. Oh, I get it, Selena. Too good to follow your old pals, Dylan and Cole, huh? This is just like when we were 12. Cole started an Instagram page called Camera Duels, where he would post pictures of people that were trying to secretly take pictures of him, accompanied with comically long captions of him critiquing their strategies. The only scandals or controversies they got in were pretty mild. Dylan took lewd pictures of himself that leaked. Because of this, he gained hundreds of thousands of followers, so it kind of helped him. Then Cole started a Tumblr social experiment that legitimately made some of his fans turn on him, where he pretended to be himself in order to get fans to engage with him. While they were engaging, he was writing deep and philosophical paragraphs on why their perception of him is flawed. Then after 1 month, he deleted his account, told everyone it was a social experiment, and basically made fun of them for idolizing him and engaging. Kind of a douchey move. Like I said before, Cole and Dylan are a lot like
That's
Cody and
some
Zack.
Tumblr shit
Cole is
for
the
sure,
philosophical, poetic, artsy boy who thinks super deeply about everything. Dylan, while still being artsy and well-educated, likes to slam beers with the bros and have a good time. We get it, you're Dylan Sprouse, and you're livid about games and journalism, even though you can't fight me IRL. Catch these hands? We are as the sun. The rays come bearing to our soft-spoken souls, dancing torpidly upon the frail shutter.
Damn.
Your Insta. Remember when I said Dylan discovered his love for alcohol at age 16? Due to his love for history, he became interested in the ancient alcoholic beverage mead, which apparently is the oldest alcohol ever that can be traced back 8,000 years.
What
It's
a
a
weird thing to be
fermented
obsessed
beverage
with.
made of honey, water, and yeast. During his college years, he would practice making his own mead. Some batches were good, some were terrible. But no matter what, he and his roommate Matt got drunk.
I don't think I've
Working there and
ever
getting
had
immersed
mead.
into this world made him realize how badly he wanted to pursue this hobby into something bigger. The All-Wise Meadery was born, which is his Brooklyn meadery where he actually makes the alcohol himself. A lot of people in
That's
the
so
brewing community
fucking cool.
doubted Dylan. They thought he was a privileged actor boy who grew up with everything and wanted to take over their hard-earned reputation. They didn't realize how passionate he was and how much respect he had for mead and brewing. Plus, he had a lot of people just saying he was another celebrity endorsing a product. Like, he didn't care for it, it was just for money.
I have to explain a lot.
That's such a weird perspective, because if he just cared about money, I think the last place he'd go to is like a niche alcohol like mead. I could be wrong, maybe just because no one I know was ever a big mead enthusiast, but I feel like there's so many better targets, like your normal ones, like gin or something like that, as opposed to mead. I don't know. I don't know why people usually have that perspective when it comes to someone coming into a niche. Usually if it's someone looking for a payday, it'll be a more mainstream, more like palatable thing for masses as opposed to something so targeted like mead.
That I'm actually brewing it, right? I have to explain a lot that these are my recipes.
Yeah, exactly,
I
like
have to explain
NFTs or
a
some
lot
shit.
to people that this is my business and I'm here every day I can be. That comes as a surprise to a lot of people.
It's kind of wild to see someone go for a much more humble job serving the local community rather than chasing Hollywood fame. Cole, on the other hand, was pursuing his photography career. Not so much for money, but rather the art. One day he asked Traveler magazine if he could work on a piece for them. They said yes, but not for money, since they had no idea he did anything outside of the Disney Channel. So Cole took a 3-day train journey from the West Coast to the
Holy
East Coast
shit.
and documented the process. They ended up publishing his article digitally. While this isn't some massive success story, it just shows the boys were
It's a
trying
good
to broaden
story,
their
maybe.
horizons with the luxury of not needing big paychecks. But Cole would ultimately get back into acting. In 2017, he got a
Riverdale.
consistent role on the wildly successful teen drama show Riverdale, which has been running for 7 seasons,
God,
as
that
well as
show's
lead
so
roles
weird.
in the movies 5 Feet Apart and Moonshot. I definitely see Cole pursuing more large acting gigs in his career. Dylan did also get back into acting in 2017. His team suggested that he shoot for lead roles in big projects like his brother, but he prefers small films and wanted to participate on good projects regardless of the character size or depth.
Thanks, you said
Dylan still
ravioli.
spends a lot of his time focusing on video games. He's extremely immersed in Dungeons & Dragons and offers his help with game developers. He even recently released his own comic book called
Nice.
Sun Eater. My brother and I used to get
That's
quite
such
a
a
bit
cool
of, oh,
title.
you made it out. Oh, you're unscathed.
Has anyone
No.
read Sun Eater? Is it good? That's a really cool title. W Brothers? No, this is like straight W. That's so cool.
Oh, the young women on the channel we were on were so heavily sexualized from such an earlier age than my brother and I that there's absolutely no way that we could compare our experiences. Cole has been vehemently against child stars getting criticized for their downward spirals, because there are mostly women being targeted and the public doesn't seem to understand the difficulty of being a child star or what goes on behind the scenes. Dylan and Cole actually started getting into acting because their family needed money, so they put their 1-year-olds to work. This sounds like a recipe for disaster, but it seems as if their parents instilled the right values in them to maintain
Yeah,
balance as a
W parents,
celebrity.
it sounds
Some people
like.
believe Disney exhausts and overworks children for our entertainment. Cole says that they didn't suffer as much trauma since they were boys, which could be very true. I also believe that stepping away from the spotlight and pursuing something normal was the key to them maintaining their sanity and integrity. Although they look back on their past fondly and came
No,
out
Disney is
unscathed,
fucking evil,
we
man.
will
That shit
never
is
get a
scary.
Sweet Life of Zack and Cody reboot.
I'm asked all the time if Dylan and I are going to do a Sweet Life reboot, and I go, no, absolutely not.
Honestly, confidently, no.
Damn.
No, I don't think that we will.
If only Disney didn't reject their conclusion, that would have been so sweet. I always appreciate when a long-running show gets a proper send-off. Ed Nettie still has probably one of my favorites. Ed Nettie came back for that like special and just had a beautiful conclusion to wrap it all up, so it has a really nice thing. Even Hey Arnold, to a lesser degree with the Jungle movie, I wasn't as happy with that one because I thought it was a bit of a fumbled bag. But I just like the attempt to wrap it all up for the fans. I think that's always great. But Disney being the soulless, evil megacorp shutting it down sounds about par for the course. So besides Dungeons and Dragons and Sun Eater, does, I think it was Dylan, right? Does Dylan do anything else with, like, games and stuff? If he literally graduated from college for game design, I imagine he'd be trying to put that to good use. Melee fan. You think he likes Moist Esports? Is he a Moki enjoyer? He's smoking and doking, perhaps? I do wonder, as a child star, how much of that money you get when you get of age. I am always very curious about that. Because I've read a lot of those stories about how, like, when you turn 18, that money you made as a child star pretty much never makes it to you. There's apparently, like, a lot of loopholes that allow companies to, like, the agencies to not pay it out or some shit. But their parents seemed, like, really, like, smart. So I'm assuming they were able to get that money. About Depp and Amber? Oh, no, probably not. I just follow it. Amber's attorney's pretty comical. You saw him object to his own question. I actually still haven't seen that clip yet. Here, you know what? I'll watch that clip real quick. Wait, can you guys... Is that not coming through on stream? Can you hear that? Yeah, it's so low.
And isn't it true that in the entire time you were there, you were not informed as to what caused damage to Mr. Depp's finger on March 8th?
Objection, hearsay.
Asking what he wasn't told.
Sustain the objection. Next question.
You didn't know what could cause
God, I can barely hear it. Hold on, yeah, I'm gonna have to turn on subtitles. Exarisa, Pooh, Kale, and Orito.
while you were there on March 8th, correct?
Dr. Kipper told me he sustained an injury on one of his
Well,
fingers.
rejection, hearsay.
But you asked the question.
Oh. He said he sustained an injury to his finger,
Yes.
but you don't know what caused the injury.
What the
fuck?
But you don't know you don't know how his finger was injured,
I
correct?
don't think anybody mentioned it.
This guy is just like a android that's poorly programmed.
Sorry, I'll allow it. Next question.
The hearsay bandit. Yeah, I guess so. There's no way that's like a real attorney, right? This has got to be some kind of like publicity stunt or something. I just can't believe it, man. This guy is so far from what I would expect a high-profile, like top-dollar attorney to be. Maybe no one wanted to represent her. I'm pretty sure any lawyer will take a big payday. Because win or lose, it doesn't really matter in the position, unless you really care about your like record and rep. But for a payday like this, I think you just throw it to the wind. Amber's gonna win though? I don't see how. The overwhelming proof of both defamation as well as her being the abuser is staggering. Amber and her cross-examination would need like a ton of evidence to prove contrary. I don't know how she'd win. But I'm not a lawyer, and she did win the case in the UK, so anything's possible, I guess. Shit's just been crazy.
I just said thank you 50,000 times. Don't believe me? Why don't you play that back at 0.00001 speed? Thank you truly though for 50k subs. It's pretty awesome.
That's
There's now enough
big.
of us to
Congrats,
battle head
Gunner.
on against the entire
Nice.
population of Atlantic City, New Jersey. They
Gunner's
had that
killing
one
it.
coming. But if you guys want to win the war, we're gonna need to pump up those numbers. So be sure to subscribe to officially join the
Thanks for
Gunner TV
Squirt
draft
and Nikki.
against the state of New Jersey. Content houses, the lucrative business model of the 21st century that promises aspiring teenage influencers fame and success with just one trade-off.
Marisa Bras.
You have to live in a giant mansion and make TikToks. At least that's what it looks like on the surface. Silly spoiled children and your silly spoiled dreams. I'm a grown-up that has to worry about grown-up things, like setting up the Wi-Fi. Or
Yes,
complaining
sir.
about gas prices. They're pretty high, aren't they? However, this shady business goes deeper than one might expect, with the same industry players causing problems time and time again for everyone involved, often ending in a house's ultimate demise. Today we're answering the question, why do all content houses fail? Or at least most of them. I wasn't going to get your attention by titling the video, why do 98% of content houses
They all
fail?
fail, though. I can't think of any that
back
happened.
off. Just, not off the video. Keep watching.
The world of social media.
I'm going to speculate before Gunner gives us this scientific explanation. I think the reason the content houses fail is because the influencers living there eventually just get tired of being around each other and move out, and it fizzles out. A slow bleed. The Sidemen survived? Yeah, true. Okay, fair. But that's more of like a content group, not just like a central content house, I would argue. I'd say Sidemen transcend just a house. Like, I wouldn't ever say those are content houses, they're just content teams. When I think of content house, I think of like Hype House, Team... Was it Team 7? Or was that the group that made Worms? What was Jake Paul's group called? Team what? Team 10, yeah, Team 10, Cloud House, what was that really stinky TikTok one that wasn't the Hype House? It was the other one. But yeah, I think the reason all that shit fails is just egos clashing and they eventually just get tired of being around each other. Even though I feel like it's super easy if you just make like, 2 TikToks a day, which is, 60 seconds of work?
A collab house. Residents say parties at this house behind me are a daily occurrence.
It's about to be a f***ing movie.
Let's go.
TikTok kids down the street.
A whole bunch of people inside the house. Can you make sure they all do NDAs?
If there was a complaint about you, what would their complaint be?
People would say I'm an asshole.
Basically are saying take it until, a tragedy happens, which is going to happen here.
Well, that guy was wrong. Still no, except for the fact that they
Pretty
still
badass,
exist,
huh?
I guess.
A little trailer action. I've never done that one before. I'm personally fired up, and me right now, I haven't even made the video yet. I hope Future Gunner delivers on that shit.
Try, man.
The idea of content houses is nothing new. Just look at Team 10, Hype
That was
House,
cute.
Sway House, Clubhouse Europe, Clubhouse for the boys. Why there's so many goddamn clubhouses. But what do most of these collaborative houses have in common? They don't exist anymore, except for whatever Frankenstein combination of 15-year-olds they try to insert to make the Hype House stay relevant. The rest have all but vanished. Hell, Clubhouse is just straight up a porn website now. While the concept seems to do a good job at launching people's solo online careers, it equally does a good job of burning to the ground whatever collective house brand name they've come up with. The Sway House, unfortunately, launched
that's the
and
one.
still tries to sell Sway pre-workout products as if the house is still running. Boys, I hate to break it to you, but I don't think people are going to buy from a brand that's based on you guys living together when you guys don't live together. Also, your fan base are little girls.
They're definitely still buying
energy bars sheesh, so maybe it was always due. Here. So today we're going to be taking a look at the untold, now told story of the Drip Crib, a content house you probably never and ever wanted to hear about. I sat down with one of its original members, Tyler Pauly, an ex-TikToker, because that's apparently a profession we can retire from now. And he was willing to talk about his experience in the house and the mismanagement that he witnessed firsthand living there. For the purposes of this video, I'll often be clipping in moments from this interview to give context to issues I'll be talking about. If you want to watch the full interview, it'll be in my Patreon, link in bio for all member tiers. It's actually very interesting. We go way more in depth than we even do in this video, and Tyler does a tell-all, so go check it out. With that said, let's meet Tyler Pauly.
Tyler, thank you for coming today. It's an honor to have you. Oh my God, who put that there? How did that, I'm so sorry.
I don't see anyone else here.
It wasn't me. That's really embarrassing. I hope we can get...
Don't feel embarrassed, don't feel embarrassed.
He looks like Machine Gun Kelly.
We'll move forward.
But like,
bump in the road.
You were one of the founding members of the Drip Crib.
One of the OGs, yeah.
You had left before shit kind of hit the fan.
Yeah, shit hit the fan pretty crazy and pretty badly from what I heard as I left, in terms of, you know, the parties, the trash, the neighbors. I left before that. Way before that.
Also, real quick, question in the chat. I noticed this tattoo on a bunch of dudes these days. I actually think it's a pretty cool tattoo, but what does it mean? Why do so many dudes get this forearm tattoo that's just like a dark tree? What is it? So it started because of cock veins? That's how it got popular? I mean, I know it's a tree and shit. Like, I'm not confused at what I'm looking at. I'm just wondering, like, why? Who made it popular? I've seen this exact design on a bunch of dudes' forearms over the last 5 years. It's a pretty common one. Usually it goes from the wrist up, but I've seen this too. The tree from Elden Ring. Well, it existed before the Elden Ring. But it does look fine. Like, I actually think it's a cool design. I was just wondering.
Way before that.
Thanks for some Brian, Big Toe, Mac, and Skylar, and Puminator, Monkey,
One thing
and
that might
Jello.
seem immediately obvious, but is a huge cause for concern, is that most of the people living in these houses are either teenagers or in their young 20s. For most of them, this is the first time they're living without their parents in a frat house-like environment, minus the college schedule to keep them on track.
There's no one telling kids, like, yeah, there's like ground rules, but my household raised me differently from others' households. So it's like, it's a huge equation for disaster, because it's just a bunch of us young, reckless kids living in a nice house, doing all this cool shit.
You made it to LA, kid. This is your moment. It's time to shine. Let's ruin the neighbor's day.
Jeff and his wife live directly next door and say night and day they're dealing with large gatherings, loud pool parties, and non-permitted film shoots. Goers drinking, getting intimate, and even defecating.
The girl squats in the street and starts to pee, so that's always good.
Well, that's not defecating, that's urinating. What kind of clickbait is this? The news lady said defecating. That means shitting.
Aw, here goes Boomer Gunner again with his moral superiority complex, finger wagging these kids as
Amber
if he's
Heard
never
showed
partied
up.
before.
True.
And
Dropped a little
I'm cool.
Amber turd.
I used to publicly defecate all the time. They used to call me the urinator back in high school. I would just start peeing everywhere, all over. They couldn't stop me. So I get it. A little social gathering here or there is no problem. But this is influencers we're talking about, where a party isn't just a party, it's content. So let's do it as much as humanly possible.
And then they had a party literally for 9 consecutive nights that went from 10:30 to literally 7:38 in the morning.
This could have all been avoided if they just invited that guy.
Years.
Seems like he wanted to go.
Morning, she finds used condoms outside her house.
Okay, even my empathetic party self is feeling pretty bad for the neighbors at this point. 9 consecutive nights of partying? Even people that went to both weekends of Coachella are wincing at that. But once again, you
that's a lot. That's
like
like biblical. Like 40 days, 40 nights of rain.
Collaborative TikToks and videos as possible. So it only makes sense that the new house on the block would throw a ton of parties to get those bigger names to come out and give them that juicy clout. Oh my God, is that Addison Rae at the Drip Crib? These guys seem like pretty legit. I should probably go check them out.
Just trash bags, fast food bags, like a bunch of that shit piled up.
There's so much trash, noise, and disturbance.
There was no point in.
Couldn't they have hired a service to do it?
Nothing was going to change.
Is that what half of these houses do?
What they wanted to do.
At some point after Tyler moved out, the biggest scandal the Drip Crib had was a potential new member who was staying there for a week leaked videos of the built-up trash, some black mold, and most infamously claimed to have gotten rat bites in her sleep while she was there.
When I had stayed with her and the whole Drip Crib crew with my boyfriend at the time, I got bit by rats from their place and had to go home early to Seattle because I was gonna get rat bite fever.
Of course, the house tried to deny these claims for PR's sake, but it didn't help when one Drip Crib member uploaded a TikTok with a dead rat visible in the pool behind it.
When we visited the house, one of the young men seen in the
Fuck
videos
yeah.
came out at one point.
Hey, stunt
when
rat.
asked about the parties, said
His
there
acting.
had been none, and that, quote, we're just kids.
And I think that statement kind of says it all. They're just kids. They're really, really stupid. So why did we move into this house again? Is this a business, or do we just throw house parties? If it's just parties, why did I have to sign a contract to legally be a part of Drip Crib? If it's a business, why is my house a huge mess every day and neighbors are petitioning to evict me? Can I please speak to the manager?
Nice.
When talking about these houses, it's important to understand the structure behind them, and they usually have the following entities. You have the actual homeowner and the rental management company that represents them, and then you also have the influencers and the content house manager that represents them. For the Hype House, this is Thomas Petro. For the
Hey,
Clubhouse,
Thomas.
this was Daisy Keach. And for
Hey,
the Drip
Daisy.
Crib, this was a guy named Devion Young. The sole
Hey, Devion.
biggest thing that can bring down a content house is having the wrong person in this position. And oh boy, is Devion Young a case study on being a bad pick. For example, we know that PR is one of the most important jobs this role needs to handle well, especially with a collective of rowdy influencers. So let's see how Devion addressed and responded to those
With
news
respect.
stories about their neighborhood trying to get them
No
evicted.
doubt.
The neighbor situation. We have a whole bunch of Karens and racist neighbors. They have threatened us with violence, which is on, online. The videos are out there. They threatened.
Can I
us,
see
they
one?
made racist comments. They verbally assaulted us, and they physically assaulted us. They've even sprayed water from a water hose at us. So you guys need to do your homework before you guys believe stuff that random people say on the internet.
Right, okay, so interesting
So we'll
strategy here.
take
Don't
his
take
word for it.
accountability.
A random
Instead,
person on the
flip
internet.
it and blame the neighbors for being mad at you about the continuous parties and actually claim that they physically assaulted you. You know how I can tell he's lying and his neighbors didn't actually assault him is that, remember, this is what they looked like. They're all over 70. If Grandpa and Grandma here were to attack you, you could end their life with a single karate chop. They even
You don't know that. Hold on a second. Let's not be selling Jeff Oken short here. That guy looks like he's seen the birth of the universe. This guy's been around the block. That man could throw some lunchbox hands, no doubt in my goddamn mind. He actually reminds me of my neighbor back when I was a kid. When I was a child, my parents had these neighbors that were crazy. They always dressed in pure white, and they'd go outside in like a white mask and everything to get their mail in the mailbox, and they would only ever leave their house via taxi in the early mornings and come back at the late nights. But it was cool. They looked pretty much like that guy. So that's pretty, it might even be this guy. So that's pretty nostalgic. KKK. No, it wasn't like white hoods. Like, when I say mask, I mean like a half mask. Like what people wore, like still wear out in public. That's what they would wear over their face. Like for dust or something. Because they'd sweep their driveway really often. Yeah, wild. That's a cult. It might have been part of a cult, I couldn't tell you, but it looked pretty much just like that.
They even sprayed water at you from a hose? Oh no. Oh, wow. Oh, that's so terribly violent. I wonder what that looked like.
Sometimes they spray us with water.
Oh, okay. So they hosed you down with the nozzle set to light sun shower drizzle mode. Not exactly the high pressure crowd control hose I was envisioning, but okay. But yeah, no,
It's
just
pretty
call
much
them
the same,
racist
to be
and
honest.
don't show any video proof. But say the videos are definitely out there somewhere online. You know, you can do the research, you can find it. Despite Jeff here seeming quite reasonable.
And we're for them. We want them to get sponsors and make gazillions of dollars,
Oh.
but we're not for them doing it at everybody's expense.
So who is Devin?
What a nice
What's his
guy.
background, and how can we learn from him what a house manager shouldn't be? From what I can gather from his Instagram, he's a hybrid club promoter, music artist, wannabe fitness model, has an OnlyFans, and on top of all that is the owner of Drip Crib.
Respect the Drip Crib and the CEO of it.
And for someone managing a social
Is there
media
some body
content
in
house,
Olympias?
he's not very good at social media. All of his pictures are blurry, he's got Snapchat filters on them. He's got this weird post from Thanksgiving where he's offering himself as a boyfriend for rent. The diamond package is only $1,500. He'll come for the whole night, wear an elite fit, and even kiss your forehead. If I had the money, I would have bought that.
Think about the parents.
What a
of
good
the
deal.
kids a
What
part
the-
of the
is he
house
still offering
may
that
have
even
seen his
outside of
page.
Thanksgiving?
They're probably like, yo, there's no way this is who's running this. Definitely like out of the ordinary. It's not your average social media like manager page look.
And hey, albeit from me or Tyler to judge
R14?
anyone who's not that adept at social media, but he's running a goddamn social media content house, so it's a little strange. Outside of that, from what Tyler tells me, Devion was a management nightmare for the house from the very beginning.
You had mentioned before that the house was supposed to be ready at a certain date, and it just wasn't, right?
Yeah, so he was like, you need to be here by this date for the house. Me and my best friend drove in a Honda Civic, like a two-door Honda Civic, with a 5x8 U-Haul behind us, with both of our bedrooms packed into it. Across the country, last minute notice to make this happen, to be there by this date. We get there and he's like, yeah, the house isn't gonna be ready for like another month. So he slaps us in Studio City, 1 bedroom, 1 bath, 5 of us in there. And then we all shared this bathroom for an entire month.
It's never a great sign to be having major house issues before moving into your physical house, so this raised a bit of a red flag for Tyler. Why am I trusting this manager on anything going forward with this big of a screw up already?
He did like, you're gonna pay $2K a month to be a part of this house, and that covers your rent, and within all of that, it's gonna cover PR services, it's gonna cover the brand deals. Like, it was just supposed to be like an all-inclusive payment for
What do you need as a TikToker for a PR service? On TikTok, you don't even have to like apologize. You just keep posting shit and people will just forget. That's like the least important position imaginable, I think. Devion was squeezing them.
Yeah, we were big butthurt.
Hear that out loud again. They all already spent $2,000 on the assumption that they were going to be getting their own rooms just to show up, have Devion take the master suite, and put the rest of them in shared rooms and closets. This is a good first example of how managers try to lock influencers into contracts with no promise of delivery.
PR, all that crazy stuff.
What was the delivery on the brand deals?
Nothing.
Hey, so you weren't happy? What?
I didn't make $1 from him. My $8,000 or so that I sent to him for rent, down the drain. I kind of cracked down on Devion and I had a conversation with him and I was like, yo, like if you can't do a simple like task of bringing me a couple $100s worth of a brand deal in this month, I was like, I'm not going to be able to pay you rent for next month. And he literally looks at me, eye contact, he's like, I don't know what to tell you. And I was like, all right.
So put yourself in Tyler's Gucci flip-flops for a second. You rushed out to LA just to share a...
Damn. So people will literally just give money to a complete stranger like that under the pretense that they're gonna get clout? Because Devion doesn't even have like a strong following based on the pictures Gunner pulled up. Man just like said, hey, give me $2,000 a month and I'll bring you Heelys laser beams from your eyes and you'll work with Coca-Cola. Kids do. Yeah, I guess that's just like the TikTok crowd. So he was getting $2,000 a month from all 5 of them. That's not pennies.
Studio apartment with 5 guys you just met, and now you're getting over with expensive rent just
he didn't
to
buy
not
the
have your
he
own
rented
room
the mansion,
and no
obviously.
brand deals to even pay for it. The contract said you'd be provided brand deals, but it didn't stipulate just how many Devion actually had to secure. However, I would have hoped that number would be higher than 0. To be fair to Devion, he did get the boys into a Blueface NLE music video.
Oh,
you can see
really?
Tyler doing his little dancey dance back there. But this wasn't a paid deal and was the only thing that Tyler got out of his manager for the entire 4 months they worked together. Tyler firmly believes that Devion put the whole house together in the first place to have them help promote his music career and other
Did it
endeavors,
work?
and not so much caring about the brand deals, which by the way is totally okay. Just don't make them all sign contracts promising to be anything more than a roommate that just happens to be responsible for collecting rent. However,
let's see. Did that strategy work? So he got some money, but did he suckle from the coveted titty of clout? What was his name? I don't think this is right. This guy looks so much older. The rapper who ate his roommate. God damn it, I knew I recognized this name. This is the guy that ate his roommate. I already looked him up, like a long time ago. His biggest song has 500k streams. That's pretty good. It's Ice Gang. So the scamming, I guess, helped? I don't know, man. Yeah, so one way that I think you can tell that it's botted is this song has 3,000 views, or listens, compared to all of these. Oh wait, these are different albums. Oh, I thought this... Oh, maybe it's not botted, because this is 2017, this is... Alright, big scam for 8,000 viewers, congrats.
no one really knows what happened to the rent, but the landlord ended up suing Devion and many of the other members after Tyler had moved out for not paying any rent past the first month. This was confirmed by Devion himself in a Business Insider article, which was no doubt bad press for the house.
So you guys need to do your homework before you guys believe stuff that random people say on the internet.
Maybe it's time we bring in someone more professional.
He's a tier 1 hero.
Or what if I could get all of these idiots signed underneath my agency collectively? This idea brought many new opportunistic faces to the table. Take Amir Ben Yohanan, for instance, the 48-year-old man who owned the media group behind the Clubhouse, whose apparently only known picture on the internet is this photo. The fuck? To quote Amir, he thought of TikTok as kids messing around and looked down on it. But
how did he secure all of those big
his children
TikTokers?
were with the world, he decided he wanted to cash in
Hey
on what he
kids,
saw
come
as a
sign with me.
modern-day gold rush.
Swear to God,
He
I'm
would
not
later
Dan
have
Schneider.
allegations made against him, claiming he mistreated influencers as young as 15, screaming at them and making misogynistic comments. One member claimed, in response to telling him that they felt overworked, he said, "You guys are probably on your period," which is so bad. Imagine you send your 15-year-old daughter out to LA to make it big, and suddenly she's being yelled at by a 48-year-old man named Amir Ben Yohanan. Again, only picture of him that exists on the internet for not
God, that
making
actually
enough
looks
content.
fake.
And actually, her being upset is because she has a vagina. Its influencers have been the latest target client for them as of the last decade. Whereas for the other industries, these agencies have developed
Easy to get
reputation,
stepdaddy.
connections, and standardization of pay. That's not such the case with the creator economy. And when TikTokers were just starting to move to LA in 2020, a lot of these talent agents were looking to lock them into long-term contracts with unfair revenue shares for them. Luckily for Tyler, he realized that this was some bullshit.
She had sent us this crazy contract that I had my lawyer look over and that he had his lawyers look over, and he was like, holy, he was like, this is, you're like signing your life away for like 2 years. It's like
And
a
then
locked
you
in,
signed,
thing.
baby.
I was like, yeah, I'm not touching that. She got like ownership to everything, like my Venmo account, my like everything. Yeah, like hefty contract. A hefty contract. And I think she made it so big because she's like, yeah, these kids probably aren't going to read through it.
Now, this is where we have to start to be a little careful because Ariana Jacob makes every one of her clients sign a non-disclosure agreement or an NDA when working with her. Even Tyler, though he didn't sign the individual talent contract he had just mentioned, did sign an NDA prohibiting discussing any business he has with Ari after the fact. And I want to make sure that we protect Tyler from any potential issues there. So everything we talk about going forward is alleged and from public record. I believe that covers our asses legally. Let's continue. So Ariana Jacob comes into the drip crib and basically gives this pitch. Sign this awful contract that makes you my property, sign this awful NDA that says you can't tell anyone about it, and then maybe I'll give you some brand deals if I'm in a good
Sign me
mood.
the fuck
If Amir's
up, let's
watching,
go.
a good mood is when a woman isn't on her period. Ariana Jacob had the same setup with two other creator houses her agency formed, being called The Girls in the Valley and The Kids Next Door. Both houses that failed within months, allegedly because Ariana did not supply enough brand deals for them to be able to cover rent. Sounds familiar. She would later blame the pandemic.
I don't know how you
for
can't
this,
get brand
even though
deals for
brands were paying a ton of
TikTokers.
money during the pandemic.
Brands
My
want that
guess
shit
is
so
that since
badly.
she was trying to sign as many influencers as possible, she started to neglect actually getting them brand deals that made them money. She would go on to say that Ari was withholding some $23,000 in fees,
not
and
bad.
that she was even squatting on her domain BrittanyBroski.com.
What a good
One of the
name.
housemates in the Girls in the Valley house that Ari put together. Ari would show up at all times of the night. She'd come as late as 1 a.m. and she'd be texting us until 3 a.m. and show back up at 10 a.m.
Wait, hold on. Oh, well, if he's gonna go through the whole thing, I'll let him read it. Virtual squatting. Yeah, it's a very common thing. People snatch up domains just so that way, like, when a company or business might need it, they have to pay that person for it. So it's been around since the beginning of the .com. Someone squatted on the Moisty Esports Twitter not long ago, if you guys remember that, and then tried to get a lot of money out of me for it, but I just didn't care enough, so I just said I'll just make a different one. And then he eventually just said, fine, sorry, I just wanted money. I'm a college student. I was like, that's fine, bro, here's $100. So now we have the official Moisty Esports one.
When the house ended, the girls did this to the walls on their way out, which...
Let me take a peek. Oh, that definitely violates their NDA. That was probably like rule number 1 of the NDA. You can't say anything mean about Ari. Come on now. And who is this? That's not Ari. She doesn't look like that. Grow up. That definitely says science, right? If science speaks louder than words, I'm the most deafening noise you've heard. Silence! Oh! God. Alright, let's ride.
Volume to the attitude they had towards her at the time. And then even Davion Young's relationship with her was tainted pretty quickly. He said she manipulates you. It's a nightmare, alleging that she had also leaked nude images of him to business partners. Now, Ariana Jacob blames this article for the fall of her business and losing all 85 of her clients. She denies damn near every claim made in the article, going as far as to sue the New York Times for $6.2 million.
Damn, she sounds miserable.
Lawsuit. I'll read a quick excerpt from the complaint filed by Ari's legal team. Given her success success, innovation, and impeccable timing, it is not at all surprising that some might envy Miss Jacob for her success and innovation. Yes, cancel culture sucks. Rise above it. Ariana,
Nice.
you lost all 85 of your clients. Do you think maybe the problem might be internal? That no one stuck with you or spoke up against this article's publication? But no, just ignore that. Maybe Tucker Carlson can help you win that fight against those liberal cucks at the New York Times while you figure that one out.
She did have a lot of kindness to
So why do
distribute.
all content houses fail? Well,
Fucking
it simply
kindness
comes down
dealer.
to poor picks of management at the house and agency level. Look, I contemplated putting a big section together with my prescriptions on the different content house models and how a manager could optimally put a house together, making it proper.
Real quick, is Tucker Carlson the guy that just made that video about dudes' testicles being tanned, making you more of a man? But it just ended up basically being porn. It is? That was him? That was fake? Was it fake? I don't know a whole lot about it. It may very well have been fake. But I saw like the trailer for it. They just had like a bunch of naked dudes tanning their nuts. There was one where I'm pretty sure the guy's legs were like over his head with his nuts towards the sun or something. It was crazy. It was real? I don't know. Again, I don't know too much about it. I just saw like little clips.
Well, Tyler, it was great to have you. Thanks for coming on. Really appreciate it. I do have one more thing for you. I need you to sign this NDA. It's just your standard NDA.
What? There's nothing crazy?
Just, you know, that we can use your image and likeness.
Thanks
that
to the
you can
bits.
never talk shit about me legally.
Vile. Okay.
That a man named Esteban from Mexico City can also legally snap your kneecaps if you say my name even once. Sign right there. Yep, great. That's perfect.
Hollywood, baby.
Signatures?
No, we'll just photocopy it.
It looks like a pretty hefty NDA. I mean, I don't really have time to look through this shit anyways.
No, yeah, of course. Influencers don't.
Huge shout out to Tyler Pauly for helping out with this video.
That was
He
nice
took
of
a
him to
risk
do
sharing
that,
his
though, for
experience
sure.
that he didn't have to. So please go show him some support at Tyler Pauly on Instagram. I'm sure he'd appreciate it. Once again, for the full, much longer interview with Tyler, it'll be posted to my Patreon for all member tiers to watch. At the time of this video's release, if it's not up now, it will be very shortly. Subscribe and follow me at Gunnar Klein on Instagram to apply to
Idris of Bang
join
in the
my
bits,
content house
please.
called The Gunner House. And no, I'm not open to changing the name.
Another banger. Good shit, Gunner. Yeah, Gunner's been blowing up. What's up, you pussies?
You played Dungeons and Dragons?
I almost fell. That was,
I missed that.
That was really scary. Elon Musk says he wants to buy Coca-Cola and promises to put cocaine back in it.
What's the funniest tweet?
He is joking.
Aw.
But it'd be wild if he wasn't. I really do wonder what that would have tasted like with cocaine.
Prince.
Yeah, but, well, true. You probably would feel it.
It's like all of a sudden that caffeine hits you way faster than you thought.
True. Thanks for resub caps lock. You said he was joking about Twitter too. That is a good point. I still can't believe that.
Think of
Ever seen the Mad Cat Lady? Well, this is not at all what I expected. It's also very loud. I don't really know what's happening. Do I know about the Whitakers? Yep, the most inbred family in America. Whole West Virginia. Actually, I don't even know if I can watch this on stream. I don't know, but I'm sure there might be something a little too intense. Oh, do they have their own television show? It's just a very inbred family shopping? They do like vlogs? This is just sad.
Oh wait, Southway Underwood is its own channel, I think.
You mean her? That my stepdaughter.
I mean, are they continuing? Did they know that
I don't know.
they're inbred?
I don't know if they're still inbreeding or if they've realized that inbreeding is bad yet.